Yeah, it's your boy Ray on the mic. Let's go.
Mic check, mic check. Welcome to On the Mic with Ray White, where we share life lessons, encourage self-reflection, and equip you to take action. My name is Ray White, and I am juiced that you're taking time to listen to this episode today. And this one's a fun one I'm excited to drop to you all. Your boy Ray White is on the other side of the mic this time, being interviewed by no other than Jacob Espinoza. Jacob is doing a phenomenal job. He's interviewing various emerging leaders in our community on his Instagram, which you could check every morning, or at least so far every morning at 7:30 a.m. You could check that and check the replays as well. But what he's doing is a great job of just highlighting leaders in our community, folks who are doing great work and bridging folks together in that space, but not only online, but offline as well, with some of the emerging leader stuff happening with the Salem Chamber. So make sure you check out Jacob Espinoza on that work effort. But in this episode, I got a chance to be interviewed by him, and which was a fun one to share a bit about what I'm doing off the mic and on the mic in the journey along the way. But I think one key caveat, one key lesson that we can all take from this is taking small steps towards the goals that we want to obtain. So that's what we're going to title this episode today as Small Steps. And I would love for y'all to listen to this. Be sure to follow me at Ray Devante on all social media platforms, and also follow Jacob Espinoza too, which I'll drop his information in the show notes as well. But let's go ahead and dive into this episode titled Small Steps, and let me know what's one small step you're planning on taking to reach your own goal. Mic check, mic check.
How you doing? On the mic with Ray Mike. Let's go.
Mr. Jacob Espinoza. Hey, man, we up here early in the morning. I mean, it might not be early for you. It's early for me. But I'm excited, man. This is awesome.
This is early. I usually leave the house 7, get here 7:15, 7:20. So this is the first order of business.
Let's go.
Of business, man. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by the coffee social yesterday too, man. It was cool seeing you there.
Look, man, you are doing a phenomenal job putting things together for the community, especially for the young adults and the emerging leaders in this area, man. And that social was hot. So like you just started off, man, saying it was 3 times the size of the first one. It showed. It was a really good event, man. Nice work.
I appreciate that, and we're I'm trying to get some pretty special things happening this summer, and I appreciate you also volunteering your time and being on the board of the McLaren Leadership Foundation. It means a ton. I value your perspective so much and the work you're doing. So I'm glad you can be part of that.
Yes, sir.
So talk to me, man. You're doing a lot. It seems like your consulting work is really catching some momentum, just based on what I'm seeing on social, and you're finding some cool opportunities there. Let the people know what you're up to right now.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that, and shout out to all the folks hopping on live this early this morning. Get to start off your day with some energy. I'm hyped for that.
Yes.
But yeah, like Jacob said, I am a organizational development specialist. I do that. With amongst many different things, but that's kind of the main avenue that I'm taking action in today. So a lot of that looks like doing some diversity, equity, and inclusion, speaking and consulting in that way, helping organizations infuse that as a part of their identity, as part of their DNA, rather than just a side. So it's really amazing to do, great work to do, especially if we want every identity to belong and thrive in our institutions. And it's a much needed thing. I mean, we can get into it, but we've experienced a lot in the last 2 years that has shown the importance of being in community and being close together. And since we work pretty much 40 to 50 hours a week and we're amongst each other, how do we bring that into our workspaces? And so that's some of the work that I'm doing right now.
When you see organizations that are doing a better job than others, what are some of the key differentiators between a company that, I guess I'll let you answer. What are some of the key differences you see?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is not shying away from the fact that diversity is part of our society, right? Not shying away from the fact that we have different worldviews and perspectives. Because some of the things that has been really hindering us from achieving this level of equity or seeing our community having that close-knit perspective when it comes to our varying differences is that we have this colorblind viewpoint, right? Like we have this thing, we look at our world and say that who you are, what makes you you, doesn't matter in this space. And so the way that I've seen organizations work really well is just not shy away from the conversation. And finding and being comfortable with the uncomfortableness that we need to be able to bridge that gap together and show that in our imperfections, we can work together to make it happen as well and bring everybody along the way to help it grow. So that's one of the main factors that I've seen lately that's worked really well in this conversation.
I love that idea, just bringing people along the way, and that's something I think that we can all be intentional with in our, especially now in our community, as people are starting to get more comfortable getting out and people want to be included. Is just what are we doing to make sure people feel invited, and then once they're in the room, they feel like this is a place for them where they have a voice at the table, which can be challenging sometimes. I know I've walked into rooms where I felt like I don't really fit in. This isn't really for me, and I'm probably not going to return. Right. So if you're building a work culture, like you want to be sure that the people that are there feel like they're welcome there, that this is a place for them to belong and, build
100%.
companionship. I think friendship in the workplace is a big deal.
100%.
Awesome,
100%.
man. So,
No, go ahead. What's next, man?
well, I was going to say something that I've enjoyed about just watching your journey and getting to know you is you've done a really good job of trying a lot of different things.
Mm,
And I feel like a lot of times people kind of wait and they want to understand like what their passion is before they get started. And that's just not how it works. Like you really have to get started, you have to try different things, and then as you're trying different things, you figure out what you're passionate about, you figure out what you're good at, the value that you bring. So what's I'm curious to hear from your journey. Like how is your idea of what you wanted to do
yeah.
evolved over the last few years as you
Yeah.
try different things?
Well, I would love to say that I woke up every morning thinking that I am going to be fearless, that I'm just going to try it and go for it. But that hasn't been the case. That's not always the case. And I know that is going to be a hindrance and a barrier in moving forward in anything that I do. But I think a lot of it kind of comes with this thought that um, I, yeah, I'm a family man. I'm big on legacy, and I've been thinking about a lot about just my upbringing of my two young boys, and what does it look like for them to see their father, their parents, trying the things that they love to do and be active in. Because I want them to be fearless. I want them to look the things that they're interested in, and me and my wife being advocates for them to say, yeah, go do it. Let's try it. And let's work together to figure it out. I gotta walk the walk, if you will, too. So I
Yeah.
would say a lot of it has been, I guess, part of it. If I reflect back real quick, I'm from Southern California, moved here to go to Willamette to play sports. And that immediately is a big jump. I mean, going to a new state when you don't know anybody and trying something in a completely new context, there's a lot going on there. But I would say a lot of what has given me the energy to just try new things kind of starts with that of I'm already here, why not make the most of it, make the most of every opportunity. And so with that, being able to say, let's give it a try. If it fails, it fails as part of the learning lesson. But if it works, let's go. It works. Like there's something here that we can
Yeah.
leverage and continue to move forward in. And so that starts with podcasting. I know you're the podcaster out here. I also, well, I'll backtrack and say it also starts with watching other people and how they move too. I know well, you're big on collaboration. You're big on hyping other people up, and oh, you have a phrase. Every rise tides. Say the phrase real quick. Say the
Yeah,
phrase real quick.
I didn't create it, but I
No,
do try to say it often. A raised tide lifts all ships.
I love it. I love it. And that comes to mind. I think of your brother as well. Shout out to Noza with Lift as You Climb as another one that I think about too. And so with that in mind, I see other individuals move and the way that they are carrying themselves. And it's like, okay, hey, they can do it. I can do it too.
Yeah.
So podcasting, um, writing, speaking, just being in relationship with people. Uh, uh, Being on boards, using your voice to help change the culture and bring people together. I mean, a lot of these things it's like, hey, if not you, who? Let's take action and let's make our community better.
Beautiful. And it's just kind of speaking of keeping an eye on other people. I think you posted the meme yesterday of the expectation that sometimes people have is that every day you're going to give 100%, but that's just not reality. Like some days when you're getting started, it's going to be 100%. The next day it'll be 10%. But the game is that you just don't quit. Like you can
Right.
give that day. You take care of yourself. You give yourself time to refresh and recuperate, and then get back to it the next day. Because if you're just like committed to opening to closing for your day every day, just grinding on a certain project, the
Right.
potential will lead to burnout, depending on
Yeah.
on how you're built. And what
Yeah.
you need to be at your best.
Well, in that same regard, like, that the idea of well-being, of wellness, has been another topic that has been really pertinent in our day and age, especially working from
Mm,
home, especially trying to navigate the pandemic and just feeling of angst to try to do all things and be all things. And I'm the number one. I would say I'm the number one culprit to in that regard. So that message that you mentioned, you can see it in the stories for those who are currently on the live, really spoke to me because it's like when we hear the words "you got to show up," when we hear the words "you got to be resilient," at least what I think about is, all right, I got to give 100%, literally right when I get my feet hit the floor, and that's not sustainable, right? That's not sustainable to live that way, and like you mentioned, you'll easily burn out. But what if for people showing up looks different, and how do we celebrate the fact that folks showed up today, folks woke up today, joined the live today, was able to say hello to somebody today,
mm.
and being able to carry that energy forward and know that tomorrow they have another opportunity to give another effort, but not feel like you got to keep up with the Joneses, or have to be something different just to maintain yourself throughout the day. So, no, man, that's a good word.
I love it. Yeah, there is an interesting balance between the intensity, and then the consistency. And I think for like the longer you go and you push at something, you'll probably be able to maintain intensity for longer. But like those first, when you're getting started building a habit, I think people have the mentality of like, I'm going to change all my habits at once. And what actually works is like, let's just take it one at a time. Like instead of
Mm,
like nutrition, working out, quitting smoking, not drinking, reading a book a day. You know what I mean? Like, let's just start with like 5 pages a day. Let's start with like just drinking more water. Like, take a really simple step that will help with the
yeah.
rest of the process. And so I think things just like, let's just start with drinking more water because you're going to give yourself more energy. It's going to be easier to work out if you have that energy and you're not
Yeah.
crashing from drinking too much sugar early in the day or whatever it might be. Like, what's that simplest first action?
Man, you're speaking to me right now. I literally, towards the end of March, wrote down 7 things that I was going to try to do that first Monday of April. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I did the exact same thing. I looked at it, I'm like, come on, Ray.
You've
You know
done
you
this
ain't gonna hit
before.
all these. You got to
Yeah,
start
yeah,
start start small. So that's good,
yeah.
man. That's good. Good momentum builder.
I love it. What's the one thing for you? Like, what's the one thing right now that you're really focused on in your journey?
Yeah, man. Honestly, it's the water thing because
Mm,
I'm sipping on some coffee. I can drink this all day,
yeah,
and it can get, we need water to survive. So I honestly have been like, all right, let me get the water in, from like a fitness or from a health perspective. But I would say more so in the progressing of just my skill set, building my strengths of being a stronger, effective communicator, has been writing really. I find that I don't want to ramble too long, especially like if I'm doing a podcast or I'm doing a talk or what have you. Um, if I'm able to write down and concise what are my thoughts and articulate that and do that daily, it helps, at least in my mind, being able to share that when I do speak.
yeah,
And so that's kind of one habit that I'm working on a daily basis is whatever I'm collecting, journaling or reflecting, how do I concisely put this into words? And then filing it away because that might be useful when I am doing an activity or in front on the stage or something like that in front of other people. Um, that's kind of the habit that I'm working on right now.
that's great. I love that. Love that mentality. The simple thing sometimes is what it's all about.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
remember the shift for you where you kind of went from like, I went to school, I kind of getting the career started, but then there was a shift. It seemed like, right, I want to do more. I want to kind of build a brand for myself. I want to
Yeah,
get into consulting. Do you remember like what led to that?
yeah, man. Failure,
Mm,
rejection led to that. I was sitting in my car after an interview. Um, this was maybe 5 years ago. So my day-to-day gig, I'm an IT supervisor in a healthcare institution, and I'm a young leader. I was already leading as in a supervising level at that point, and then like most of us, at least in a stage in our careers, we're like, all right, I'm gonna climb that ladder. Like, what's the next step, right? And so I applied for a manager position and didn't get it. But in the midst of that, in the midst of that, of applying and going through the interviewing process, this idea of being active on social media, speaking, and things like that was something that was rising within me. I've already been speaking. I've already done things on the mic before. I used to MC in high school and in college. So it was like I know how to do it. But I looked at other individuals in this space who were public speakers, motivational speakers, leadership consultants, and coaches. I'm like, man, I feel like I can do that, but I let my age and even my position in life get to me and be like, I'm not ready yet. I need more experience. I need more, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
I need more of it. But I applied for that position and didn't get it. And I sat in my car and I turned on the video and I just started talking at it. And it's just like, you know what? It just gave my reflection there. And
Love
I
it.
think that's kind of what kicked off this thought of like, well, let's just try it. Let's just give it a go. And I'd rather be ready for when the moment comes than wait to get to the position and then try it and then do it. And so, yeah, so about 5 years ago, that was kind of the switch. I didn't get the position, but it pushed me further into developing my skill set. And then, yeah, now I'm at a point where it's like, I can, I, I can do this. It's like, I've taken some steps. Yes, I can improve, but I can still do this. And who knows, man, I can see an opportunity to make a switch here in the future, but
Yeah.
I know it's possible because
Yeah.
taking those strides today.
Just building the skill set so that you're able to, if you ever want to. I think is another piece, and building up that audience so that you're able to. It makes it easier to make transitions sometimes. You're speaking about the power of writing earlier, and that's how you kind of focus on that habit. And I think for me, like this last year, I mean, I really went all in on Twitter and like writing every single day. And it just helped my thinking so much because I'm always like formulating thoughts, like how do I make this as condensed as possible to fit into a tweet or to be a thread that somebody can take action on. And I've just realized that like the best way to be a good thinker is to focus on writing.
Yes.
And it's just interesting how like one habit leads to benefits in other places that you might not really realize it.
100%,
So I
100%.
love your talk track. Like let's just keep the door open and let's focus on developing a skill. And I bet it's helped you in your career as well, in your
Which is
current
actually,
job.
which is actually what I was going to say is that by doing something outside of work has influenced the way that I do work. And it's just made me a stronger leader. And so, and also it's kind of helped me in that fulfillment context as well. So not looking into my job to fulfill me, right? Having that position to fulfill me, but just saying, I'm able to get that fulfillment elsewhere and I'm able to grow, but it has enforced and enhanced the way that I connect with my staff, the way that I look at strategy or even just articulate uh, a value or articulate a project to an executive by practicing my speaking and writing and critical thinking outside of work has helped in a tremendous way. So I know that for those who are watching right now and on the replay, especially if you're in a position where you don't feel like you're getting all that you need in your day to day, you can truly use it as a training ground to the next step that you want to get to, but not necessarily wait for the position to practice that skill set, right? So you have all the things at your disposal today, and like what we talked about, you kind of have to. It helps to choose one habit or choose one action to take, and it will compound as you keep moving forward and keep taking those next steps. So, man, and why not start now?
Exactly. Yeah. Why not start now? The idea of like I'll start when this happens, but then that that date keeps getting pushed back. Like I just need this and I can get started. Then you get that. It's like, well, I have this, but I don't have that. And you need more letters at the end of your name. You need more like experience, right? You need more testimonials and like you're not going to get experience until you get started, right? You're not going to get those testimonials until you get started. And I think also like we forget what people don't know. Like sometimes there's this assumption that people just know everything that we know, and that's just not the case. Like there are people that have not gone through the training that you've gone through, like whoever you are, don't have the life experiences that you have. And I think a way that was I've heard a phrase like help the person that you were 5 years ago or 10 years ago, because like you've gone through this journey those last 5 years. If you could find that person out there, which does exist, and social media is a great way to find that person. But if you can find that person, like that's a person you can probably help and can be your target market.
Right. Yeah,
one of my a friend and coach, Willis Bless. You can follow him on social media. He posts all day. But one of the things that he talks quite a bit about is for defining your target audience is to, like you just exactly said, help your past you, right? Help the one, help who did you needed at that time? How do you speak to that individual? Because ideally there's going to be other folks too in that same space that's going to need that same type of position, right? And I've also heard it another way, like, you know, you personally could be at a level 7 and thinking that you need to talk to level 10s, but maybe you just need to converse with level 6s and level 5s, right? Like, so just a couple steps behind, and that can just help in even just that confidence builder of getting engaged and getting going too, man. And that's that kind of reframe in the perspective helps tremendously. So that's good.
Love that. What's going on in Salem right now that has you excited? What are some things that you enjoy about our community?
Oh man, I mean, like we started off at the top of this live, man, just the more engagement that's going on for young adults in this area, especially in the business sector, is phenomenal. I mean, we out here, you know.
Yeah.
We out here. It's a phenomenal thing to see, just to see your peers making moves in this community. And again, not doing it alone, right? Like, I think that's what I love about the city of Salem. I live in Kaiser, but I don't hurt me, y'all, but I see Salem and Kaiser as one, but you know, we'll talk about that later. But just in this particular area, there is so much strive to how can we come together and do this? Like, how do we work together to make this happen? And especially in this young adult space, when we consider those moving into, you know, positions of positional leadership in our spaces, it's nice to have connections. It's nice to have relationship with one another. And so I'm excited just to see that. I'm excited to be a part of that and work with one another to make that happen, man. And it's going to be phenomenal, especially if we look to, if we keep leaning in the next couple of years, we're going to see some pretty amazing things or help continue to do the amazing things that are already happening in our community.